Hello and welcome. This video is going to show you how to create topographic profiles using the tools that you find in PowerPoint or Google Slides. Note that these tools aren't available in the online version of PowerPoint, so you'll have to use the desktop version that you download to your computer, or if that's not available, you can use Google Slides, which is free. Now, I would encourage you, if you have access to a printer, to actually print out these maps and profiles and do them by hand. It is easier, it turns out better, and I think you learn a little bit more. But if you, say, are caught in the middle of a global pandemic and you don't have a printer and you have lost access to the printers on campus, then this will be a good alternative. Now, I would recommend that you go back and watch all the videos that have to do with topographic maps and making profiles, and even complete the lab up to this point, which is the last thing that you do, and then leave this video and the profile for last. Okay, so let's see how we do this. Now, we're going to start by going to Canvas, and we are in week 5, and let's look at our week 5 module, and you will see that we have something called grid and map for week 5 profile. Now, if you have to do a profile for the week's lab, you will see something similar in the week's module, and you are going to click on it, and you'll see that this is identical to what is in the lab. And there'll be some sort of version of this for any lab that requires a profile. So you are going to download this file, which is a JPEG, and you're going to open a new PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so here we go, new PowerPoint presentation, and we want to insert that image into our PowerPoint. So we go to Insert, we go to Pictures, Picture from File, and mine is on the desktop. So there it is. I'm going to insert, boom, there we have it. Okay, so now we can get to work. The first step is going to be identifying the elevations of the contour lines where they cross this profile line. After all, this line from A to A prime, this is the line that we're making the profile of. So let's start with this line to the left, this contour line, and we are going to look at this point right where this profile line crosses this contour line. And we want to label it with the elevation. And so we are going to go back to Insert, and we're going to find our text box, and we're going to draw a little text box just below it, and we're going to type that elevation. Okay, so that is nice and big. We probably want it a little smaller because we're going to be doing a bunch of these. So I'm going to drop this down to 12 points. Okay, so I am labeling that, and this is indicating that this is the elevation of this point where the contour line crosses the profile line. And so I'm going to do that all the way across my profile. And so I'm going to jump forward after I've done a few of these so we can get to the next step. Okay, I went ahead and labeled those first few contour lines. And you will want to do this all the way across the profile. Once you have that done, you are going to transfer these elevations to the grid below. And you're going to mark a point directly below that contour line where it crosses the profile line on the grid. And we're going to do that using the draw tools. Under Insert, you go to Shapes, and we want the line tool. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out a little bit to give us, you can see the profile. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start my line right where that contour line crosses that profile line. I'm going to click, I'm going to drag downwards, and I want this line to be perfectly vertical. So I'm going to drop that down until I reach 740 on the profile. And there we go, we have our line. Now, as I look up at the top, I can see that it isn't lining up perfectly, so I'm going to actually scoot it over a little bit. So it's accurate, and then I'm checking below, it's still at 740. Good. Okay, so we're going to do this again, and we are going to do it for each of these different elevations. So I'm going to jump forward once I've completed that. Okay, now that you have all your lines drawn, we are going to create the actual profile by doing a little bit of connect the dots. And by dots, I mean the bottom tips of these lines that you just drew. Okay, so we're going to do that by going back to Insert and using the Shapes tool again. And this time we're going to select this tool, which is called the Scribble tool. And so when we click on the Scribble tool, it's kind of just being able to draw wherever your mouse is by clicking. Okay, so we're going to start at this point at the bottom of our first line, and we are going to draw upwards to the second line, and third, then we're going to make our hilltop there, and we're going to come back down, connecting the dots, and then we're going to go down to the bottom of the valley, which is at the bottom of the river, and then we're going to come back up this side to this point. Okay, so there is our topographic profile, and of course yours is going to go all the way across the grid. So you're welcome to leave these lines in here, but it is this actual profile that I'm going to be looking for. Okay, let's look how to do the same thing on Google Slides. And this is going to be a lot more brief. I'm basically going to show you where those equivalent tools are. So here we are with our Google Slides, new presentation, and you have your upload from computer here to get the file in. And there it is. You also have your insert shape, and actually it's not under the shapes, excuse me. It is under here with line. So you can draw your lines using that tool. And you can also do your scribble to connect the dots under that same menu. Okay, so when you're done using this on Google Slides, you are going to want to go to File, and you are going to want to go to Download as either a PDF or a JPEG, because this is what you're going to have to download to Canvas. So you will export it as the JPEG or PDF and then upload it to Canvas with your lab, or you can insert it right into your lab itself. Either is fine. Okay, so if you have any trouble with these profiles, feel free to reach out to me and I will help you the best I can. And good luck making your profiles.